Good morning, Facebook.
There we are.
Good morning, YouTube.
Good
Welcome
morning.
to FYI.
Welcome.
It is Friday, 4th of March,
Yes, it is.
2022.
Better believe it.
We've gone through an amazing week.
Yes,
As
we
we've
have.
been discussing a little earlier, we've gone through an amazing week. So much happening in Guyana, around the globe,
Yes.
actually. And
Interesting times.
Most definitely, we've been bringing you the content every day of the 3 times per day. I think today, as Shared was mentioning a bit earlier to me, that
Yep.
today is the 13th program this morning.
Yeah.
Morning's program.
Well, 13.
13th program thus far, and we have
For the week. Yep.
and we definitely have how many more to go, Sherrod? Like 4 more
Four
to go.
more to go before the week wraps up here.
17 programs
Per week.
all
And then
together.
we start back. That's between this program FYI and below the belt and in the ring. 17 programs per week.
Wow. That's just
Ensure that you guys
altogether.
are kept informed. Yeah, that's how we do it here.
Well, guys,
We got the energy. We're young. We got the stamina.
I see Warren Figuera on this morning. Good morning to you, Warren. I hope you're having a good
Warren.
over
Name
there
sounds
this
familiar.
morning.
Warren Figuera. Let me see.
I know this name pretty well. Don't worry. I learned
Sounds
this name
familiar.
over
Must
time.
introduce us.
Introduce.
Warren. Sounds like a good fella. A decent fella.
You know,
Warren.
how do you determine if someone is a
It's the
good
name, Warren.
name?
I never know about Warren. Never meet a serial killer named Warren. Mm-mm.
So you met other serial killers before?
Never heard. Let me just clarify. Never heard of a serial killer named Warren. Never heard of a convict named Warren. Generally.
Okay. I like how he clarified
Name
that.
us in nature.
All
Hopefully.
right. So Warren replied and he said, John Doe friend.
John Doe friend? You say friend of John Doe, folks who don't know. Hold on. This chair upsetting me. It's just like those people who don't know, John Doe is Dorita's other half.
Oh my God.
Nobody's ever seen this fella. Never. He's never been photographed. He's never been seen. So I'm quite interested now that Warren knows John Doe. That lends some credibility.
You know, that's going to give Warren some pressure. A lot of people might be in his inbox.
Inbox Warren and ask Warren for details because, just last evening or yesterday rather, the Ukraine president, I never knew I'd have a segue like this, but the Ukraine president was saying that Putin is a what?
Alien.
He's alien. So we were of the view that maybe John Doe too is alien. Right? He's not of this world. He's not of this world, folks. But Warren knows John Doe. That's interesting.
Very, very interesting indeed that Warren knows John Doe. But for that, I must say, just drink your water. Just folks out there, continue to drink your water, as the song says. Good morning to you, Donna Barry.
Donna is here. Good to see you, Donna.
Where are you guys joining us from?
Let us know what you guys have for breakfast too.
Guys, Facebook has been giving us a really hard time.
Yes,
in the morning.
We just talking about Facebook coming back to its normality, but apparently not. We talk too fast. We got black tongue.
Well, I'm viewing the comment section right now, and I'm just seeing Facebook. So I'm wondering if now we're having issues with YouTube.
Oh, Father. It's one pocket story to the next place. Some mornings you just want to pack up shop and say,
no, YouTube.
We're coming to you, Warren. We're coming to you.
Thank you, Marlon E. Thomas.
Yes, Marlon, how you doing?
From Queens, and Marlon is commenting from YouTube this
Thank
morning.
You, YouTube. You had us there for a minute.
I have to do.
You had us there for a minute. We're in that period, folks. Lent is coming up. Are we in Lent? Lent coming up. We are in Lent, they say. We're in Lent, so can't swear as much now and so on.
Okay.
Dorita saying, speak for yourself. Can't swear a lot. Talk for yourself. But good to have each and every one of you. Vashti's here. Vashti's having eggs with asparagus and tomatoes.
I'm sorry.
Right? Wonderful. Wonderful for you, Vashti. Vashti's having eggs with asparagus and tomatoes. Wow. Very nice.
Vashti fancy like that.
Yes, asparagus. You do you, Vashti. You do you. Good to see you.
I see
Norma Drucker, Naomi Drucker, good to see you. I
see Baggett's song in the house this morning.
Baggett's is you?
Yes.
Baggett's is you? Good to see you. Rowena Williams is here too. All the Williams here pack up. Royston Melville. Yep. Is it Lila Bastio?
Yes.
Good to see you, Lila.
I
Good to see
see.
you.
I see. Is it?
The
My
Ola
God,
is
Crawford. The names go by very
Crawford.
quickly,
The
guys.
Ola is
But the Crawford caught my eyes. Of course,
why?
Facebook user.
Yeah. What kind of name is
Is,
Facebook user?
I don't know who is this
I
person,
hope there's
but
no way
it's
parents name you.
Facebook
Use
user.
Generation X kind of people.
You know,
Facebook user. You run out of names, you know.
but it's an innovative way to come online without people have being able to track you down. It is Facebook user.
That might be John Doe.
No, definitely not.
Facebook user.
Definitely not.
Identify yourself properly. Facebook
Definitely
user.
not.
We see Karen Clark is here. Glensis Mingo Byrne is here as well. Carla Washington. Andrew Cuthbert. Good to see you, folks. Thanks for joining the program and share the live stream, guys. Really good to have each and every one of you. Know we got a lot of things to discuss this morning, Charita.
I see Jennifer is having saltfish and bread.
We got a lot of things to discuss this morning, Charita.
I'm interested in the saltfish.
Saltfish and bread.
This morning.
Got your attention. Saltfish and bread, yeah.
But guys, we started off by saying we've been bringing a lot of program, a lot of information, basically throughout the course
Valid
of
incredible.
the week. And I can tell you, like sometimes we're up since 4 a.m. in the morning, just making sure that we are the first to actually get information to you. So we have this morning, we must do an update on what is going on around the globe, and especially right now what is going on in Ukraine. All of that is just completely sad with all the information.
But you know what, Rita? You got that happening in Ukraine. You got war in the Ukraine, and it seems in our school system you got a war happening too. Because some stuff that we saw recently, and we're gonna be discussing this fuller later on in our program, but some of the stuff we saw recently, folks. You go and share the live stream and smash the emoji button. Take a look what happening in our school system locally.
It's crazy.
Hey! Feel like you fuck yourself! Feel you fuck yourself! Oh, Pornography, squad! Push out! What is fucking doing in the bus, son? What are you doing in the jackass, man? Jackass,
Yep.
I have a whole lot to say about that, but guys, we will definitely be talking about that a whole lot more.
And there's more footage.
It is crazy.
On that. That's Golden Grove Secondary School there, as you saw. And it begs the larger question, what's happening in our secondary schools, both at the teacher level, at the student level? A vicious fight, and that student ended up being stabbed there, belonging to Golden Grove Secondary School. But we're going to be talking about this and other issues a little later on in the program.
But it's horrifying to look at. It's crazy.
That's going to be part of our big issue this morning. But first, some of the stuff happening from around the world, and we start with Ukraine, folks.
Correct.
Yep.
Well, Ukraine president says that Russia's attack on a nuclear plant is terror of an unprecedented level, and we my view is to agree with him. There is it's an unprecedented level of terror altogether. We cannot continue like this. It's 2022. Who is speaking up?
The whole world, believe it or not, because it seems that Mr. Putin is cornered here. He has the overwhelming force, but he seems to be undecisive now. I think because of the pushback you have had globally.
There's because the strength of that, I think, believes his strength he knows is in the military and his nuclear weapon and all of those things. But then when you have, for example, the vote that we saw at the UN and the General Assembly, when you see 141 nations saying no, this should not be, then how do you go up against all of those? What are you going to do? You're going to develop weapons of mass destruction so they'll take out the whole 104 countries. No, it's not going to be like that.
Here's a situation where the Russian army, superior in numbers, their own strength being used against them now, because you have all these people there. You got this international condemnation. What do? Do you pull back? He's embarrassed to do that. Do you press forward? There's more condemnation. I don't see any right-thinking country And we can't even quote Venezuela here because it's not a right-thinking country. And who have said what they're doing is justified. We have some individuals I saw, like Donald Ramajar, who said Russia is in the right to do what they're doing here. But outside of these these persons, the entire globe is galvanized that this is not a way we're going to conduct ourselves.
It's against the UN Charter. Basically, everything that is being done there. And you know what? We must make mention every single time we speak about what is going on and the war between Russia and Ukraine. We must mention the fact that persons living right there, they are going out in their numbers and protesting this action.
Correct.
So this is not that they don't want to be deemed as Russia is going up. They're basically saying that this is not the decision of the people of Russia.
Correct.
This is the government of Russia that's making these decisions. And people are going out there by the thousands and protesting and apologizing profusely for what is going on in Ukraine
Boots on
right
the ground.
now.
Boots on the ground. That's what it looks like. And we covered some of this in our program during the course of this week. Those persons who would have been out there in Moscow and St. Petersburg protesting, as Julie rightfully said, against this, as I think it's a war in Ukraine. But you had some people like, for instance, the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, who called it a military operation. Donald Ramachar, former president here in Guyana, says it was an intervention. Whatever way you choose to parse it, there's a lot of horrific things happening there in Ukraine, including what we just give you a peek of just now, this striking of the nuclear plant there in Ukraine.
You can call things whatever you may. I think even acts of genocide was described as cleansing. People try to put words there to justify actions, but whatever the action, you call a spade a spade. You see what is going on, and you just call it as it is. As basic as that.
People try to make it seem palatable, but the thing is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And that's some of what's happening on the international scene. In addition to that, not to be left out, you have this incursion, this war that's happening, this intervention, this military operation of Russia in Ukraine. Now, Donald Trump has said that China could invade Taiwan. China could invade Taiwan. As you know, China has been supporting Russia in what they're doing, or at least they're not denouncing Russia's action. The Donald, right, bigly, he's come out bigly and said that China could invade Taiwan.
But Donald Trump has been speaking a lot since Russia, the invasion in Ukraine, and that war by itself. Donald Trump came out and he has been lashing left, right, and center. What he has not pronounced on is what he forgot to pronounce on. As far as I'm seeing it right now, he's been very critical. Some say constructive, some say otherwise, about what is going on and the actions, especially the actions that is being taken by the U.S. administration, the Biden administration, and how they're dealing with that altogether. So he's been very critical, and now he's speaking about the fact that he's saying China could invade Taiwan.
Yeah.
So we all know too acutely about the issue that we had right here at home.
Taiwan, we own Taiwan issue.
Yes, when we had the announcement that there's going to be a Taiwan embassy in Guyana, and then the rapidness of the pullback of that to say, it was a misunderstanding, I believe the words were used. And then none other than Vice President, when being interviewed by the Vice Media Group, actually said that that decision that was made by the Foreign Affairs Minister, Yu Todd, was made without cabinet approval. So we have our own issue when it comes for China and Taiwan. But I would just like to make it clear that Guyana has always embraced the one China policy altogether.
Yep. That being said, every country, independent country, should be allowed to have their self-governance, and to be actualized in the best way they see fit as a country. And so I think, this whole issue with Taiwan, one China, and all of that, we got to sit down and revisit all of these things. In a modern world moving forward, we got to sit down and revisit all of these things. But this is some of what's happening internationally. And, a number of things happening locally. And, we were flipping through the morning papers. We know, we haven't readers in the morning papers like you. Not all of you, some of you, this is your morning papers, FYI. We've been flipping through, and there's a number of things we think you ought to know about. In the papers and out of the papers, a number of things. And some of the headlines were jumping out at us.
Well, actually, some of the things that I was looking at is, for example, and we're picking this up out of the local newspaper. Again, we make sure that we go through the papers in the morning since 6 a.m. So
We there, we there, we
we
there,
are
we
seeing
there.
food security solution lies within region. We're seeing that as statements being made by the president at the CARICOM summit altogether. So we definitely need to be examine the methodology being utilized in Guyana to actually accomplish something, because we keep saying it is one thing to go and say something, but then the actions to actually accomplish those things moving forward needs to be in queue with what you are
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
And we don't really see that.
Anything on bringing down food prices by the president?
Well,
President Ali?
that is exactly that's exactly the discussion that we need to be having, because you cannot go and you have all of these talks of solutions to issues, and when it comes to at home, we still have issues. The inflation rate is excessively high, especially when it comes to the basic household items, food items to be precise.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
nothing is being set as to how we're going to tackle this, what intervention is being made, what local policy is going to be introduced to make sure that that is managed effectively and efficiently, like it was over a 5-year period. And that's a fact. Let's just be honest about it. That was a fact.
Yep. And a number of other things as we said, we flip through some of the papers here. I see former EPA head calls in one newspaper. Former EPA head calls for independent investigation of ExxonMobil operations. Yeah, that's another headline. Another one says citizens have 2 weeks left to submit concerns in Exxon's 12-well campaign at the Kanji block, and this is one of the projects. This 12-well campaign in the Kanji block that they would have waived the EIA for.
Correct.
Yeah, which brings to bear the whole issue of the breaking down of the guardrails. If you don't have good checks and balances, how do we know that these projects are being done well?
Well, we have excessive things that have been said, and especially when it comes to the FYI and the ring below the belt affiliate programs. Excessive information has been out there as to what is going on with the breakdown of the guardrails of democracy. Everyone should be in tune right about now with exactly what we're talking about, and all of these goes into play. And yes, when you read the headlines where former EPA head calls for the independent investigation, I tend to have to support that. But then again, we haven't seen any action of independent investigation since
Whenever.
2020.
Since whenever.
Right.
And that being said, we got to add the $9 billion that Exxon said that they spent on pre-production costs and so forth.
But then yes, it has to be done, and reports could come out. But then again, we're saying, and we made a point repeated times, that you're putting cat to watch milk when you are setting up these bodies to do the investigation and do the auditing in such a method, with such a mechanism, that you are hand selecting the people that you are putting there to do things for you.
Yeah. Correct is right.
Putting cat to watch milk.
Also headlines in some of the morning papers, guys. We're seeing here that there's going to be a protest today. Never saw a protest I didn't like. In front of the Russian embassy, it says, let's show solidarity with Ukraine. Join the picket, 12 noon today in front of the Russian embassy. That's one of the headlines in the papers as well, folks. And that's some of the things making the morning papers. Never saw a protest I didn't like.
Very interesting.
Never saw one we didn't like. We there. More in terms of what's happening locally, folks, on the morning trend. What are we dealing with? What are we dealing with this morning? Yep. The fugitives. Some American fugitives were apprehended here recently and were actually extradited. And that's one of the things we saw coming out of there was a statement out of the U.S. Embassy that they were actually wanted in the U.S. for sexual offenses, among other things. And, all kind of people here, here seems to be like a repository for American fugitives. If you can't hide it in the U.S., in the 52 states that they have, it's 52, right? You can come here because you had the other guy who was here, Ghani. He was part of the Private Sector Commission. He had a big role there in the Private Sector Commission. He was an election observer in the Private Sector Commission, and no sooner had he finished observing the election, there was what the Americans call it, rendition, right? There was rendition. They took him back. He was wanted for crimes in the U.S. and was right here, right in the Private Sector Commission as an election observer too.
Correct.
Interesting. So the Americans have apprehended these guys. They have been extradited to the US to face the law concerning the things that they have been charged with.
Yeah, and on that matter, I
Can I
want
join Uncle
to,
Sam?
yeah, most definitely. I want to commend the efforts, the collaborative efforts with our law enforcement officers
Correct.
here for
Correct.
doing that. You know, well, we give lashes when it is deserved, but we give credit when it is due also.
Yeah.
So I commend that particular action. Let them I believe that that is the correct action. Let them go
A
and
number
face
a
the full
number of
length of the law
agencies.
there.
Yeah, a number
Most
of agencies
definitely.
were involved in making this possible, and as you just said,
Yes.
respect and manners.
Kudos.
Kudos to you. On the banking front, some other stuff happening too. With Scotiabank, we saw Scotiabank was trying to take over one of the local banks rather was trying to buy out Scotiabank. Scotiabank said it was doing very badly in the local market here, and were ready to pack up and to move on. But Scotiabank now sees exit possible this year as Bank of Guyana reviews license for Citizens Bank. Go to Scotiabank trying to get out of the local market. They say they have not been earning well, and they just want to go. They said, just let me go. Please release me, let me go. Yeah.
Well, on that note, I'm picking this up from one of the online news agencies that says the issue of the First Citizen Bank needing a license to operate in Guyana came to the fore 1 year ago when the Bank of Nova Scotia announced its second attempt to exit Guyana, and the Canadian Financial Service announced then that it has sold off its operation in Guyana to the regional rival First Citizen Bank. So this has
People
been
want leave we bad. And we hold up with them. The people want left we taking a hit. We're not taking a hit.
well as it is being said right now. Apparently, for Citizen Bank is basically saying, I think, on their page that they've already claimed that they're operating in Guyana. So
Interesting.
so it seems like just a matter of time before this actually happens altogether.
Citizens Bank want to go, we should let them go. Let them pack their bags and go. We thank you for the service over the years.
This discussion is going to have a lot of other comments to make on that as it progresses, as the situation progresses from the financial point of view.
Like more in the matter than the pistol in this story here. But again, the headline there is Scotiabank exit possible this year as Bank of Guyana reviews license for First Citizens Bank, and that's where that issue is. Other things on the morning trend. Oh, GPL. GPL did one worse than the government in terms of wages and salaries for 2021. They've announced a 6% hike.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe they couldn't get back.
Well, GPL actually announced a 6% increase in wage and salaries for the year 2021. But it's just not one worse, it's two worse, because that's just for non-management staff. So they couldn't even go across the board. You know?
Thank you, for Twitter, for making sense of the numbers. It's two worse. It's no one.
It's two worse, because one you have, they couldn't get up to the 7%, but then they couldn't even take it across.
Couldn't raise the occasion. They have the power. They have the strength to raise the occasion. Couldn't even get it up. My. Well, there's Dindial making GPL great again. Folks, we're going to continue to cover this. Yep. So people want the money.
Folks, at GPL, and that's for 2021. Of course, it's going to creep over to 2022. However, it's interesting that even after all of the public had to say about the meager 7% increase to public servants, GPL didn't see it fitting to actually go beyond that, especially coupled with the excessive increase in the price of goods and services, especially for food items for their employees. So I don't see how that's going to help. But
yep. GPL know the able. GPL know the able. But folks, also on the trend is Irfan Ali, who has been out and about and very vocal against critics of the administration, right? And there's no pun intended here. He's been very, very vocal on his critics. That being said, you would recall we talked here in the program about the Republic Anniversary Address to the Nation.
Correct.
And how the whole address basically focused on the critics and the naysayers and those who don't like the policies of the administration and all of that. Well, as you guys know, the CARICOM heads of government, they are meeting in Belize, I almost say in the Ukraine. they're meeting in Belize. And recently in the program, I kept confusing, is it Chisholm or that's the Commonwealth Heads of Government, the acronym. So the CARICOM Heads of Government meeting. But the CARICOM Heads of Government, the meeting in Belize, somebody wrote something in the press. Irfan is there in Belize trying to represent us well and trying to move the issues forward, and is reflecting on whatever is being done in the press here. Calls Gordon Mosley yesterday to clarify, and again, the whole issue of them not accepting criticisms very well came to the fore because this call was based on something he read in the papers that he wanted to respond to while he's in Belize. Take a listen to Irfan Ali going off on the supposed critics and naysayers of the administration.
Mr. President, I understand you wanted to respond to some concerns about the pace at which your government was moving, as referenced in a letter in today's newspapers.
Yes, Gordon. So I just want to make a few points. First of all, my government and the PP civic government believes strongly that civil society has an important role to play in any democratic society. But civil society, a role cannot be convenient, or the truth cannot be convenient. And we cannot confuse civil society with individual organizations. That is, organizations that are run by individuals or are not open to the wider membership of our country. These organizations cannot be the conscience of truth or the conscience of society when they're convenient in the way they address issues. Many of the organizations had nothing to say after the no confidence motion. They had nothing to say during the 5 months of impasse where our country integrity and credibility was damaged because of what took place. Today, we were elected based on an agenda. We were elected based on a manifesto. And we have a responsibility to implement that manifesto as effectively and comprehensively as we can. And that is the intentions of the government.
Yep. Quite a mouthful there. And again, I think one of the big issues we can draw out of this is what qualifies one to speak nationally in any issue. Is it past experience, past opportunities to speak on an issue? To hear Irfan Ali say that, oh, you didn't talk out when we had the protracted period in our elections in 2020, so you have no right to talk out. No, you have no right to talk out. No, to use his own words. What foolishness!
Any government, and this is not just the PPP administration, I can say any government, any representative of government, especially at the helm of government, basically should be listening to constructive criticism and taking pointers from it in order to have effective governance altogether, to achieve effective governance altogether. So when you go out there and you criticize persons that are bringing critique, you're basically saying that persons you should be muzzled as citizens, and that is not acceptable anywhere, especially in 2022. I don't understand why people still believe that it's okay to go out and critique the critics. Government have a responsibility to be responsive to the concerns of the citizens. If the citizens are saying we are not satisfied with this, then government have a responsibility to say, okay, what aspect of this you are not satisfied with? How can we tweak this? How can we tailor these policies to make you more comfortable as a citizen on these matters? Not to go out there and say, how dare you criticize me? That is an error, and persons history will show that government has paid dearly for such error.
Yeah, and in addition to that, the PPP, the incumbent regime, had 23 years before this new dispensation of the rule. 23 years. A lot of things happened then, and I don't think if somebody did not speak up then, it disqualifies them from speaking up now. You have the issue with right to GCOM, if you want to talk about GCOM, the guy who was prepared to give the PP a seat that didn't earn, that would have given them the majority in 2011.
Yes.
This name is slipping me now. That fella, but the astuteness of Vincent Alexander, recognizing that the PP did not earn the vote for that extra seat, brought it to the attention of the commission, and they had to pull back on that. But he was well prepared. Boodoo, right? Mr. Boodoo, Goo Code Boodoo, He was prepared to give the PUP a seat, which would have given them the majority. And it's again because of the astuteness of Vincent Alexander, who when we did the math and showed GCOM the math, said, you know what? That was rigging. That was rigging. And the PUP in 2011, as you guys know, ended up with a minority government. A minority government. And the rest is history. Now, you can safely say, if you didn't speak up against Gokul Budu, you have no right to talk now. That would be absolute foolishness. Right? Saturday Osar was a minister in the PPP's government who was assassinated in this country. There was never a definitive investigation into that. And if you say, oh, you've never repudiated the PPP for not investigating thoroughly their own minister's murder and assassination, you can't talk now. What foolishness is that?
But could you imagine? You persons need to literally think about what is being said here, because this is a narrative. This is psychology being used. When you see the repeating of a specific line, and you will listen and you would hear them repeat the one Guyana line, because they want the message to be resounding. They want it to go out there as though that they are working towards this one Guyana, and we are yet to identify one action that gears towards one Guyana from the administration. And again, when they go out there and they speak about the naysayers, you would note, and persons listening, you would note that this talk really started at the flag raising ceremony when Irfan Ali went out, and the majority of his speech was aimed at talking about the critics and the naysayers, right? And you would know that after that, members of his administration came out and they started naysayers, the critics. The naysayers wouldn't accomplish this. The critics wouldn't accomplish that. And that is the method that they utilize. They have been keen in utilizing a method of psychological warfare on Guyanese and I dare say, and I spoke about this sometime before. This is something that they do, and you need to highlight it, that this is what is being done, and you need to fight it, because there is nothing that bears merit to any member of government going out there and criticizing persons that are critical of the work that they are doing. And you need to dismantle it altogether. You need not feed into that narrative. Imagine a country that you are not allowed to critique the government. Could you imagine that?
But what to me is very, very striking is here is Irfan Ali, the leader, quote unquote, of the PPP regime currently, and talking about the critics. But yet you have institutions, Rita, that have been set up to give oversight and to give supervisory function and to give checks and balances to the government, by and large, have not even been set up by the very same administration that don't want criticisms from the public. But who better than the people, who is the greatest stakeholders, right, to criticize and to say, you're getting stuff wrong. And we can talk a little bit about some of these institutions and commissions and so on that they haven't set up in just a bit. But that's the contrast. You don't want criticism, but clearly you are not leading in the right manner and in the good manner, because if you are doing that, 2 years later we would have lots of these bodies set up and operational to give oversight, and maybe there will be less criticisms. Just maybe. So we thought that was interesting on that front there. And coming off of that, we had this this little statement here coming out from Gail Teixeira concerning one of those institutions that should be set up to give oversight to the administration and spare them some criticisms from the naysayers and the critics and everybody else. So Gail Teixeira said recently, this is the Minister of Governance, she said that it is unfortunate, her words apparently, unfortunate that the reconstituting of the Integrity Commission has been delayed. So if the Guyana Human Rights Association, I see them jumping on the head for that association a lot now. I see the administration, let me say them, the administration, focusing on this body and the head a lot. If they come out tomorrow and they say the government has not instituted the Integrity Commission, this is bad, then the government says, and where you guys were during the 2020 election? Y'all didn't say nothing then.
Where you were during the no confidence.
Right? If Young Mahadio comes out and say, we should be focused on this, months ago. They say, well, then where were you during the... Y'all can say, well, I went in y'all ranks.
Well, I was just
And
about
it's
to say
because
that.
y'all doing a lot of nonsense, I had to make a beeline. Right? But it's unfortunate because it's not only the Integrity Commission, it's lots of other commissions that should be set up and functioning. Again, that should be the self-critique for the government. They have not been established.
But Shar just made a very profound point
I did.
with your Mahadio situation, because there you have your finale speaking about where were these persons when this was happening, where were these persons when that was happening. Currently, Yog Mahadio has made himself present even at the protest when we had the International Energy
Expo,
Conference
yeah,
and Expo. He was there. He was one of those persons that was deemed a naysayer and a critic. And where was he prior to that? He was right there, and basically what he's saying is that he's going to call a spade a spade. If he thinks has merit, he's going to go and say that has merit. And if he's against, he's against. Now, he himself has been deemed one of these naysayers and one of these critics.
You know what?
It basically says that they do not want anyone speaking out against them. That is what it says. That's the evidence that is provided.
Judy, you just said something very profound, which says to me that today's freedom fighter is tomorrow's critic and naysayer. Today's freedom fighter and guardian of democracy is tomorrow's naysayer and critic. But that's what's happening on that front. And here are some other institutions and commissions that, as we said, are yet to be established, yet to be set up. And this is what we talk about across our programs as the breaking down of the guardrails of our democratic system, of our democracy. Folks, here are some of those institutions. You have, as I said here, the Integrity Commission. Dave, thank you. The Integrity Commission. You have the Public Service Commission, the Judicial Service Commission,
Public Procurement Commission,
the Public Procurement Commission, and a whole host of them.
And they are yet to be set up. But the specific one that you made mention of,
Dave, thank you for the graphic.
The Integrity Commission this is evidence of what we're saying. This is why persons need to go out there and be critical. Because I can assure you that if persons were not out there asking when are these things going to be set up, no one was going to be given actual comments as to what was going on. Absolutely no one would have been concerned whatsoever with giving any comment to the media, the press altogether as to a reason. Oh, it is unfortunate. It would not have been said. It would not have been a point to mention by them. But because we have persons out there, these persons that are constructively criticizing the administration for the failure to actually have these commissions in place and functioning, that is why they are coming with excuses.
So, guys, here are some of them. Here are some of them. The Judicial Service Commission has not been appointed as yet. The Public Service Commission, I can see Auntie Gail apologizing for the delay. 2 years in. The Teaching Service Commission has not been appointed. The Natural Resources Fund Board, they're now trying to identify persons because they have to be ratified. I would rather suppose they're now trying to identify persons. The Local Content Secretariat, they told us at the end of March we're going to have the Local Content the end of February we were supposed to have this operational. The Local Content Secretariat. The Petroleum Commission has not been established. So Gail got a lot of apologies to make. And then the one she referred to specifically here is the Integrity Commission. And we know, in keeping with this too, local government elections were delayed as well, have not been held, was supposed to be held last year. So there's a whole host of outstanding things that are there, while Air Finale talks about the critics and the naysayers and who has a right to speak and not. But when you're not doing your work in this way, what do we expect?
Well, one of the things that needs to be added to that when you talk about the breakdown of the guardrails is a breakdown of the guardrail of local democracy altogether, because there we have it. We have the writing is on the wall. It's clear as day as what is going on at the level of the local government body. And we are not pleased. The citizens of this country, they're not pleased as to what is going on there. Yes, you have a government in place installed, they may be, but they are in place and they are carrying out the duties of governance. That's what's going on.
By necessity,
they are spending the taxpayers' dollars. And listen, when the government is out there spending the taxpayers' dollars, how dare the government tell the taxpayers not to be critical of what they're doing with the monies that the taxpayers pay to them?
Talking things.
That's how you have to be. I mean, Sharon
Our
sometimes tell
numbers
me.
person.
Sharon sometimes tell me I get a little bit heated on some of these matters. He's like, calm
I do
down.
too. I do too. I do too. Yeah. But that's what's happening on that front. And again, if you don't have all of these oversight bodies and bodies that are integral to our democratic process, if you say we're a democratic nation and you believe in the rule of law, but the rule of law said all of us agree, you must have the integrity commission, you must have this, you must have that. But none of it is being done. But we don't like criticism, or we only like criticism from the people who like we.
I see Cheryl.
Right?
Cheryl actually is just giving a reminder that the nursing council has been disbanded.
Yes, we got to stick that in as well. Thank you there. Thank you for that.
Most definitely.
The nursing council, and lots of people have been messaging us about this and saying that this is one of the ways they believe the government is trying to prevent nurses from going overseas. If you remember, Frank Anthony came out and said recently they're losing lots of their nurses to overseas institutions and so forth. The nursing council is charged with giving you your certification and so forth and so forth.
Yes,
and they believe this is one of the ways, at least that's what some nurses are saying. The government is trying to halt the exodus of nurses by disbanding the nursing council. So everything's at a standstill right now. If an overseas hospital wanted to grab you up as a nurse, you'll be tied down here because there's no body in place to really truly regularize your exit from the country as a nurse. And we're going to be focusing on that a little more on subsequent programs. Thanks for drawing that to our attention. So that's what's happening on that front as it concerns these critical institutions. But folks, by way of an update, we wanted to brief you on what's happening, the latest on this tragedy at the Mahika Bridge. You know, you had that very, very horrific accident that was a result of a high-speed chase between a police vehicle and two civilians in a motor car. These were Christopher Bagwandat in the civilian motor car and Sharita Prasad. And there's an update on that. The policeman was formally charged recently, was passed through the court just yesterday. And out there at the court, folks, the tensions were high. The mother of Christopher Bagwandat spoke. She was emotional. Folks, this is a very sensitive issue. And here's some of what transpired out there at the court yesterday.
Let the public come out and be with me. Yes. Then you're going to see action. Yes. The mother of Christopher Bagwandat, the driver of the car, that the policeman, Mr. Lawrence Carmichael, murdered my son and his girlfriend on the Mahika Road. The magistrate put him on bail, 1.5 million, because she said she considered him as a 27-year-old. He don't have children. He's not married. He have to go to his job. So what happened to my son and these people's daughter?
Yep. Tensions were high, as we said out there at the court yesterday. As you heard there, the policeman, Corporal Carmichael, was put on $1.5 million bail. And the mother of Mr. Bagwandat is extremely upset, as you heard, and expectantly so. Hurt, she's grieving, and she believes that they're not getting justice. As a matter of fact, a part of what was said yesterday is that they believe that there should have been a murder charge and not a dangerous driving charge.
Yeah. Well, a lot of tensions were indeed high there, and there you have the mother, and I can feel for her as a mother, because I believe that she lost her husband recently.
5 months ago.
And then her son Christopher, he was basically the breadwinner for the family, so she basically has lost it all in such a short space of time, and there she is, rightly so, demanding justice for her child. And I do note our concerns also as to the officer being placed on bail, but I believe it was so because it was not an outright murder charge. Because if I'm to understand correctly, if it was a murder charge, then it would not have been, then he would not have been on bail.
Yeah, yep. So that's what's happening on that front, guys. And as we get more information on this very, very sad story of the loss of these two young people, Christopher and Sharita, we're going to keep you guys posted. But as you guys know, Women's Day is coming up, International
This
Women's
is my
Day
favorite part.
on March,
Since the first, this has been my favorite segment
on
when
March
we discuss
8th, on March
phenomenal
8th,
women.
International Women's Day is coming up, and it's International Women's Month, all month long. Believe it or not, to make sure that you're treating women even more special during the course of this month, and then on International Women's Day, even more special. And for this, folks, we've been talking in this segment about our person of interest. It's been a woman all month long. It's only 4 days in the month, but all month long, we've been talking about a person of interest. And a person of interest today is, I think we have a drum roll, don't we? Don't we, Dave? No drum roll? We have a drum roll. Our person of interest
is none other than the phenomenal female journalist that we have, Nazima Ragbir. She has an absolutely phenomenal woman. Nazima is the president of the Guyana Press Association, the GPA, and also the president of the Association of Caribbean Media Workers. So Nazima is quite an individual altogether.
Yeah. And in addition to that, she's a recent mother too, and I know that little boy perhaps has her hands full. She might gotta rethink this journalism thing now.
But there you have it. I believe that it was in 2018, if I'm not mistaken, that Nazima Ragbir was actually elected president of the Guyana Press Association, and she has been that association has been there for, I believe, 73 years and she became the first female to head that association. So Nazima has been clearing the path,
real trailblazer,
championing the cause and championing women actually altogether, and also at the level of the president of the Association of Caribbean Media Workers. She was the first vice president, I believe, of that association, and now she's the president of that association, and that association was formed back in 2001. So Nazima is out there, and I believe that media and journalism altogether takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot to keep your credibility in check as a journalist. Nazima has done a phenomenal job at maintaining balance and bringing the news as is all throughout.
I wish this administration would sit down with some good professional journalists, like Nazima Ragbir, one-on-one with them, and have them put questions to them. And hear them respond. Journalism, you got to pursue the truth wherever it leads. And Nazima Ragbir has been thank you, Dave, bring us back, thank you, has been one of those persons who have been really and truly on the front lines there, pressing forward, and has been a trailblazer, has been a tremendous encouragement and role model to a lot of people in journalism. And she's been out there for a long time, as long as I can remember.
I think she started,
like all my life, I feel like Nazima's been out there.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe I picked up somewhere that she started when she was 17 years old, So Nazima has...
That's like a good 50 years ago. But she looks good.
She has a passion for journalism, and Nazima, I think it is very admirable the way in which she conducts herself with her work altogether.
One of those very middle of the road journalists. You couldn't accuse her, I think, of being, political or anything like that. Journalism, pursuing the truth, getting the facts, getting the leads, pursuing the sources, and not,
she covers.
She understands her role as a journalist.
She covers both government and non-government issues with such professionalism that you can't ever point to one situation in which you said, "Oh well, she was biased here or there." She has been phenomenal in that role, and we commend and we salute Nazima Ragbir today as we celebrate women, phenomenal women in our society. So kudos to you, Nazima. Keep up the excellent work. I know the Guyana Press Association and also the Caribbean Press Association. Well, that's not a correct name. It's absolutely lucky to have you there.
And keep on. keep on keeping us.
But I want to mention, Sherrod, if I could, also we have some other phenomenal women
I was
in
going there. Go right there.
in journalism
Right there.
altogether. And one of the younger journalists that I have a lot of admiration for, female journalists, is actually Vishani Ragabir. She is someone that has been out there, and I see Vishani bringing extreme credibility to her work and actually bringing facts and details into the type of work that she does. Her journalism is outstanding altogether. So kudos to Vishani Ragabir for the exemplary work that you have been doing. I have told her that I am a good I'm an admirer of what she does and the work that she's been putting out there thus far. So continue to do what you're doing, Vishani. I know we have Nazima as a blazing leading example for persons to female journalists and journalists all together to look to and say, oh, this is the path I should be taking.
And we got a couple of good journalists too, if I might point out. At Starbuck News, you got Sharda Bacchus, you got Femi Harris there, who covers a lot of legal stuff.
We have Svetlana Marshall.
Svetlana Marshall is out there too. Quite a few folks. Tandika Percival, also of Starbuck News. Some really good young and upcoming journalists that I think if this country invests in, can do not only this country proud, but can do the region proud going forward. A lot of good young people, but I think more of our journalists got to dedicate themselves to their art and their craft. Don't just be a mouthpiece for anybody, any political party, but pursue the truth wherever it leads. And I hope that as a country we can invest in our journalists, that they can hone and sharpen their skills, and we'll all be better for it. But you see, if you don't like the critics and the naysayers, you might want to invest in good journalism.
And I have admired the work of Tandika Percival a lot also.
Yeah, Tandika is good.
I have the pleasure of actually viewing a lot of her work at a more personal level. What I can say about also when it comes, I don't just want to just mention their name.
We used to have a lovely Women's Day graphic. I don't know what has become of that. A lovely Women's Day graphic.
Svetlana Marshall. Again, I have seen these women, Svetlana Marshall, Nazima Ragabir, and all of those females out there in journalism. I have seen them balance family life. I have seen them balance motherhood and go out there and do the work. So as a woman, I understand. Sherrod is not going to be able to relate 100% on this matter. But as a woman, I understand the difficulty that goes hand in hand with being a mother, being a wife, and actually having to go out there and hold the fort. Basically, and still keep everything in check, your credibility, make sure that you are deemed to be balanced, not biased, and all of that. So kudos to all of you phenomenal women in journalism.
Respect and manners
in Guyana.
Yeah, I just want you to know that little aside thing, the little shade. I'm very comfortable in my role as ASAP Rocky. I'm very comfortable. You understand me? Very comfortable. I ain't fighting. No, but this is our way of saying to
I realized you were
all of this is our way of saying, we love you, women, especially our women in journalism. Continue to do what you do out there. We are all better for it. Critics make the world a better place.
Yes.
Critics. And you guys make our show the better place. Some people don't like the curtains, you don't like the thing, you're looking at your hair, the counter, you don't like the sink in the background, you don't like the pipe, you don't like the color.
I don't know why Sherrod wanted to bring
critics make the world a better place, and we continue to tweak. Once we see it's constructive and we think, yes, you know what, we didn't think about this, we can tweak all of these programs, to get it just right. Critics make the world a better place. That being said, folks, congrats to Nazima as our person of interest today. The biggest issue, what happening with schools, with our students and teachers, and what brought this into sharp focus is the events over the last 24 hours. This Golden Grove Secondary School fight in which a schoolboy was stabbed.
Correct.
Folks, thank you, guys. This is how things went down just yesterday, guys. Just yesterday. This is the first video that we showed you early on with what transpired there with the Golden Grove Secondary School students. Take a look.
Hey! Feel like you fuck yourself! Behave your fucking self! Oh, wanna go for you! Wanna go for you! Wanna go for you, squad! Push out! 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 What's fucking in the push out? What are you doing, you know? Don't be so much jackass, man. Don't be so much jackass, man. Hey, love you, man. Good. Can you hold man?
Yep. And we're
Guys,
picking that footage up from our affiliate, Credible Sources.
that is correct, and that was the first bit of very disturbing footage that you have that you just viewed there. You know, guys, we continue to bring you these information, we encourage you to continue to do your part and share this live stream. Continue to make sure that we the news that we are giving out this morning and every morning is properly shared and spread out throughout the country and throughout the world altogether. So continue to share the live stream. We have much more to add to that, and like I said, that is the first bit of disturbing image footage that you just saw there, and we have another bit of footage to bring to you guys. So continue to share the live stream as we bring you the other piece of footage.
Serena Williams and Commissioner Cole and Joylyn Cook, share the live stream, guys. We'd love to have your thoughts and feedback on what's happening on any one of these issues. We're watching those comments. The guys are going to let us know if they're ready for us. And I think we do have that additional footage. Scenes from Golden Grove.
I'll make it 100. But, I say, yeah. I agree to share the 50, right? But I got to come and get dry check and come and jack hole.
So who will tell you that I got to 50?
Money seven price, take on the gallant and man, get to you. Think how far, let's put a cry.
So who can pay the other 50 now? If you got to get 50, who got to get the other 50?
I got to get 50 and Molly got to get 50. 25. The neighbor can't and he's still away. And now run with your strong. No, he come up.
What am I rob people for? What am I take people money for? No, so she the false lady, she can test what she wants and do what she wants.
We don't tell him already. You say you know for this thing and kill the minister, he put on this. Right? He said, wait a minute, call me. I do that for me, say no. I got my job from pastor.
Well, you got 100,000, right?
Why are you doing that? I got people that are fucking check. Now right now, black people are getting book for check. Right? I used to run work for 3 months and never book me. I got my go right to him.
Yep. Again, those were some of the scenes from the Golden Grove Secondary School area yesterday, where there was a fight between students. I didn't see one of the gentlemen in school uniform, so I suspect he's not a student there unless he was in civilian clothing. But, you know, it begs the question, you know, have our children been locked away too long because of COVID? They've lost the ability to socialize. You know, we just back out of school in full, and this is how our students, this is what is consuming them.
I see these footage, and I, as a mother, I get scared because I think to myself that my my innocent little girls that I send out there, like, I don't think they can handle those environments altogether, because I look at that and it's school children, you know. I dress my children in school uniforms, I send them out to school, and I am looking at what is transpiring there with school children, and I know with absolute certainty that my children cannot handle that situation. So it goes back to the family and what we're teaching our children in the home.
One of these guys was stabbed. That's part of this. a fight here.
It is crazy when parents send their children out to school. It is one thing, and this is a two factor. Well, it probably many different factors, but I can speak to it from a two factor level. When you speak about the unit of the family and what a child is being taught at home and the upbringing all together, we often say the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world, and if you train your child in a certain way, they more than likely will go out there and display that type of behavior that they see within the family unit. But then when you send your children to school, on the other hand, when we send our children to school as parents, we expect them to be in a safe environment. We don't expect that you send your children to school and then you got to get a phone call, your child gets stabbed, your child that you sent to school, So there must be systems in place that protects against that altogether. And I recall even when I was a child in school, many years ago, even when I was a child in school, I remember in the Bartica Secondary School, there was a little period in which children wanted to, when they came out of school on a Friday, go and fight on Big Hill, as we call it. They want to go and fight. And the school quickly had a system in place, put a system in place that every Friday, if school was dismissing at 3 p.m., then there was like 2 police ranks from the police force would come and make sure they just hang around the area to make sure that the environment is safe and children can go home in a safe manner. We have to have systems in place to protect against that. It cannot be acceptable that we have children that are even behaving in certain manner, and then children being victims of those behaviors. So those systems need to be fixed altogether. We just not need to be seeing it repeating itself and nothing being done about it. What is being done about it? That is a big question.
Yes, it'll be interesting to know too what may have led up to that. It'll be interesting to know that. But it's no way to conduct ourselves. It's no way. It used to be that something happened in class, you call the teacher, you call the principal, and to intervene. But It seems as though you prepare for what's going to transpire after school. And in too many of these school environments, they got a lot of people hanging around. A lot of people. Big boys hanging around the school environment who are not students.
Because I'm looking at a video and I'm seeing someone out of uniform there and that's been involved. And I personally know of cases that children are just standing right in front of their school gate and being robbed right there. You actually featured one of those videos in which the children were right there and someone robbed them right in front of their school. And I know of other matters. And we should not have a society in which that these types of crime, it's a crime, someone was stabbed, can be so easily committed.
Yeah. You used to be so afraid back when I'm in school too, that you are on the road there and there's a prefect and you're going to be reported tomorrow to the principal or something like that. But it seems as though that didn't occur here. It was just mayhem in the vicinity of the Golden Grove Secondary School. And, we call upon the authorities to do what you got to do. You got to look into this issue too. We be talking about, you'll be getting instructions for International Women's Day. Teachers can let their hair down and female students can let their hair down. These are some issues we got to focus on too.
I have a lot to say about that.
Go right ahead.
Do you want me to?
Well, you came with your hair down, so they ain't bothering you.
Let me tell you something. In 2022, to actually have an announcement that persons are permitted to wear their hair like that for one day only is an insult to women throughout this country. I say that I have absolutely no apologies. I believe that in 2022, we should be looking at other things. Our country is claiming to be progressive. We actually had the cross-dressing bill actually being passed in the National Assembly, in which we are saying that the country is not going to be discriminating, the law rather is not going to be discriminating against persons dressing, a man dressing like a woman dressing like a man, and so forth. And the reasoning behind that was that we are progressive altogether. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to misquote or anything like that, because I want to quote.
It's strange. Directive from the ministry.
I want to quote from the actual explanatory memorandum from that bit of legislation that said the government rightly acknowledges and agrees with the CCJ on that particular matter that we were talking about, that the law which is inconsistent with the Constitution of Guyana has no social or legal purpose in a progressive society. And I specifically take note of those words, that it has no social or legal purpose in a progressive society. So here you have the country being the government actually pushing forward that explanatory memorandum. The government actually saying personality that these laws have no place in a society that is progressive. But then you have the Ministry of Education now comment to say, oh, we are permitting you to wear your hair as you very well want to for one day only. That is a celebration of womanhood. And how am I supposed to interpret that as a woman?
From my side of the gender, I'm just saying interesting. That this is where we are.
It would have been something profound if there was an announcement that came from the ministry to say that we are abolishing
these archaic rules.
These non-progressive rules that we have within the school system, because it matters not how a child wears their hair. That does not determine the content of their mind. It matters not how a teacher wears their hair. That does not determine how they go about actually teaching, right? Because we can have persons with the most posh hairstyles going out there and knowing nothing. We can have the most posh hairstyles and teachers going out there and not performing their duties and functions as a teacher. So that cannot be a benchmark altogether. It needs to be abolished.
I think I saw some students with the hair in conformity fighting just now. So.
Well, I think that's a good point. The children with their hair in conformity, they're fighting because we are. I often use the term that we, as a society, we tend to major in the minor. We tend to make major issues out of minor things. And the major issues we treat as minor matters. And we need to fix that. We need to get our ducks in a row, as I dare say, because hairstyles permitting for one day, oh, come on, man. Come on. And it is true. I have had, since that I think there was a correction being done by the ministry saying that teachers are allowed to wear their hair anyhow or something like that. But I personally know of teachers that reached out to me. I have endless messages in my phone that saying that's an absolute lie, that they have been reprimanded for hair so many times. If they have a little streak of a different color, they can't wear that to school and all of that. And there was a case in point that was brought to my attention even yesterday, that a child was sent home, a male student, because his hair wasn't specifically how they wanted it to be. The child isn't being sent home for his conduct, but he's being sent home for how his hair is. If we are to claim that we are a progressive society, we need to act accordingly. We need to do away with these ridiculous rules that persons still linger on.
Have no place in a progressive society. Those rules have no place in a progressive society. Folks, unfortunately, that's our time for today, and we're so glad that so many of you would have joined us. Guys, share the live stream for us. Do that as we head into the weekend. Smash that emoji button as well. We want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on these issues concerning what's happening in our schools? Hairgate and then Fightgate.
Fightgate.
Yep, good to see each and every one of you. Pamela Thomas, Jean Williams is here.
We see French Guyana again in the house.
Beatrice Selby, Commissioner Cole. Good to see you guys. Good to see each and every one of you. Yep.
It's Penny Chester. Good morning to you, Penny. Good morning to you, Marina Paula. And we see is it Roxlyn Jones in the house this morning.
Yep, good to have Roxlyn. Good to have each and every one of you guys with us. We're going into the weekend with pace and power.
It's FYI. I have a long weekend.
FYI, guys, we're going to be back here on Monday. It's a long rest for Jarita and some of you other folks. We're back with the podcast at 12. We might be on the road by the Russian Embassy, bringing you the latest from there. We may be there, and then we're going to be back in the ring at 8 o'clock. Over the weekend, it's the podcast on Saturday, the podcast on Sunday. Then we're back with FYI in the morning on Monday morning. But great to have each and every one of you. We really wish you guys a big, productive, flamboyant, exciting weekend.
I'm gonna be having a blast this weekend. I'm not gonna lie, because I've had a very taxing week. So I hope that all of you that had taxing week actually go out there and be safe. Be very, very safe. I continue to see reports of accidents that is circulating on social media and in our news altogether.
Arrive alive.
So we definitely want you to arrive alive. We continue to say that you need to value your life and the lives of others around you. So make sure that you are careful on the roadways. And I also want to just make mention again of, I see another video circulating on social media of a bus actually again driving on the sidewalk yet again. So I call on this is the second time I'm going to do it, call on the association, the bus association, to actually reprimand, actually have accountability when it comes to the actions of such drivers altogether. And I see that I know the last situation that was highlighted, the police actually intervened in that matter. So we look forward for more interventions. Be safe. Make sure that your weekend is splendid. Don't be drinking and driving at any point in time, because we value each and every one of you out there.
That's our time. Stay safe.
So, bye, guys.
Have a great weekend.